I'm hoping I can get her into that. I think I might be able to, but there's no music, so it's.
I got him with the animals.
Yeah, that's
because I have the
fair point.
I have the animal and music. There's two things I get Miles with.
Yeah.
So I was like, "You want to watch a panda movie?" He's like, "Panda." Yes.
More panda. A third panda.
He didn't like
Panda
the third.
Christmas.
He didn't like the third panda movie.
Really?
No, he likes the first two.
What's the third? Oh, the third one's the one with all the pandas.
Yeah, the one where he meets his dad.
His birth father.
That's true. But
His
that's
birth
why
father. It's not his dad. It's his birth father.
That's true. Oh,
his biological father.
It'd be biological father.
I'm not good at these terminologies.
It'd be a biological father.
You're the freaking adopted one. You should know.
Biodad.
Biodad. I like that term.
You know what I really want to get him to like though? That I'm surprised he doesn't. What? Finding Nemo.
Yeah, that's a shocker.
You think he would be like all about fucking?
Yeah, especially because he was like into the Nemo like aquarium or whatever.
Yeah, he needs a shark movie.
Tank. Nemo tank at the aquarium.
There needs to be like a full on shark movie. There's a full on
shark movie.
It's
called
movie.
Jaws.
One day. He's afraid.
One day. We're going to get him to at least 3 before we show him Jaws.
I can't get him to watch the live action Beauty and the Beast. So
did I tell you that Aaron officially vetoed Captain Marvel?
Why? Because
it's super. Like, watch it again with the idea of like, is there too much blood and gore? There's a lot of blood and gore in the first like 10 minutes of that movie. I'm trying to find a way to make it okay, but it's I'm losing this fight. I'm losing it.
That's where our parenting styles completely diverge.
Because I keep thinking like, she's 2 right now. She's not even gonna notice. It's just gonna be like weird things that are happening on screen. But at the same time,
it's 100% that. I can tell you,
it is.
It's 100% that.
It is, but at the same time, everything you see is just normal. Like at this age, because you know so little, everything you see is just normal. So do I want that to be normal?
Yeah, it's funny. I was having this conversation with Clint again because we've been watching like Justice League a lot.
It's also torture. Like there's just a lot of torture in that movie in the first however long.
Yeah,
but, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I'm saying she won't register it.
No.
And so I think that like I've really come to the conclusion with a lot of this stuff. As long as he's not scared, like if he's scared, like Beauty and the Beast scared him, like the Beast scared him. So I was like, all right, we don't need to watch this. Like it's not something we need to watch. But like if it's, I don't know, if it's one of those things where he's not scared of it and he's just not registering it. Something like the Marvel movies, I think, are pretty benign. It's kind of like watching Star Wars to me.
Sure.
Especially like the newer Star Wars. Maybe not like episode 1, 2, and 3, which are pretty cartoony. But, I mean, any of that stuff I watch of them that I enjoy has violence in it. There's not really a way around it. Like, we've watched Spider-Man. We've watched... And, I mean, people die in Into the Spider-Verse, so... Oh,
yeah, a lot of people die. And I've shown her that one, too. But, yeah, you're actually very correct there.
Yeah, and so just because it's animated, I don't think changes... I think that actually makes the violence. If you want to like think about what makes it, in my opinion, what makes them taking the violence more is something animated, because he locks into something animated more than he does a live action. At least Miles, like you put something animated on, he zones in, like Spider-Man, like
I think it's musical, but
yeah. Like if I put the live action Spider-Man on, he'll watch it because it's Spider-Man. He knows Spider-Man. He thinks Spider-Man's cool.
Sure,
but he doesn't lock in the way he did with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, in my opinion, like something like Captain Marvel. Well, yeah, there's violence in it. I mean, it's still Marvel violence, and outside of like the last 2 Avengers movies.
I mean, she's getting tortured. Like the kids are getting tortured. She's like they shoot and slice throats and stuff in the first 10 minutes of that movie. Like after the first 10 minutes, after they get to like the little farmhouse, or even once they get to like the Pegasus building, it's like, it's just chill. Look, there's a kitty cat. It'd be great. But that first 10, if I could just skip the first 10 minutes, which I'm thinking about.
You could.
I totally could. And that might be my way of getting around this. Is like, look, Thea, here's this character who comes out. Like we just start after she comes out of the blockbuster. Like that could be my move.
Yeah. I mean, I still, me, like, and that's kind of movie things. I kind of gear towards how you are with everything else, and just be like, yep, like it's make believe, it's not real, it's not real violence, we don't actually act this way, like it's pretend, watch it, because she's going to encounter pretend violence in like every other movie she watches.
So that's fair.
That, I mean, but again, movies are the thing I love, and so are superheroes, so I'm more apt to like bend on those things as long as he's not scared.
Yeah. Well, we got a whole episode to talk about these things. So, you want to get started?
Sure.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Two Dumb Dads. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
And this is episode 56 for June 7th. Today on the show, we're going to be talking a lot more about entertainment. We're going to kind of double back and talk about screens again. Kind of specifically talking about like getting your kids a tablet and showing them like crap on their own like device, I think is maybe the right term here. But before we get to that, we're going to do that thing we do where we talk about something that's been going on in our lives. You didn't understand a word of that.
I did.
I went really quick.
That's okay. I'm still faster than you are.
We're going to cover our adventures in dadding.
There you go.
So, Nick, do you want to give us a quick update on what your adventure was last week?
Yeah, so my adventure was a little scattershot as I went back and listened to it. But basically, the whole point was...
Yeah, I could have done a better job of editing that. I could have. I didn't. I should have.
I was pretty scattershot on it because there was a lot going on. And there's been
I thought that like that actually added to it, like showing the frustration, like the way your head just melts when you were... I'm totally just jumping ahead here. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead and do your recovery.
Actually, it really was not nearly as bad as I thought was going to be going in. So I've had way worse of these experiences. But anyway, I think I started by saying there's been a lot of stuff that's happened, but I wanted to focus on something that happened like 3 weeks ago. My wife was gone for a work event for 11 days. Now she goes a lot. She's on site late. She doesn't get home late, but she still gets home, right?
Sure.
So there's always like the semblance of like, she's going to be there, and some days like she'll get home a little earlier, or she can leave a little later so she can at least see Miles.
But the important thing is she gets to come home, hug her kid before bed,
right? But, or just see him at night. But she was gone for full 11 days, so it's kind of on my own. And so that's kind of what it was about, is what that was like, and dealing with that, and finding routine, and also just the perspective for me of how hard it must be to be a single parent, especially a single parent if you don't have a support system or much of a support system, which you realize having like one part of a support system is fucking huge. Like that's what I realized. Like just having your wife as that support system for that thing, like dropping him off, that thing that she does. Right. Fucking huge. Huge when you are solo parenting for a length of time.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really, I think that was a very interesting listen, because I thought it was really nice to kind of hear your perspective of what it's like to have to do everything without having a break, and how like that zone out time that you get when you have another person, where it's like, here, why don't you go sit on mommy's lap right now to while you watch this, and then you get like 5 seconds to play on your phone or whatever, and it's just gone.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it literally doesn't exist, and by the time you get to the end of your day, you're so fried, because you're still going to work, and then, you know what I mean, like, and he's still coming home, and you have to get all the things prepped. And I think I told you, I don't think I mentioned it, you know, like I would try to get home, even recording, like get home and get everything made. So by the time he got home, like there was little I had to do, because you just like, if he needs your attention, you can't make him dinner, right? Or you can't make yourself dinner. It was eye opening. It's eye opening to how challenging that can be.
How much oven crap did you make?
I mean, that's all he eats is oven crap anyway. But like, I made myself dinners, because we have them, right? Because we get the meal stuff.
Oh, right, and right.
Because as I try to get him to eat more, which isn't working, but it's an attempt, right? I want to see him. I want him to see us eating things, right? Like this is something that's prepped. That's not your normal food. You can have your normal food, but like this is what I'm eating. So if you want to try it, which
that's the thing that works for us is, you know, like anytime we have dinner, we ask Thea, do you want this? She goes, no. Then we sit down like, okay, well, we're gonna make our plates, and then she looks at it and goes, I want that. Where's mine? Here you go. I heard he made it. Eat this thing.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't do that. He just, you know, he likes what he likes. It's, I mean, at this point,
it is what it is. You know, personalities, but
yeah, you know, he's eating. It is at that point. That's all I care about. Right. But, you know, like little things, like he really likes homemade bread, right? So getting that shit made for him, like, because it takes time.
So one of my questions while you were doing this was, Thea, Sarah was gone for 2 weeks effectively, right? Like she came home for a day, a night or whatever, but effectively she was just gone. Yep. How did Miles react to that? Like, was he constantly like asking for mommy, or did he just kind of get used to it?
We video chatted as much as we could, though her event was really challenging, so it really was hard to let that happen. So that helped. He actually adjusted really well this time. It's been worse other times, like during fashion weeks. But I think that's because, I could be wrong, but because I got him on such a routine that everything was constant all the time, so that I try to eliminate the amount of time he realized that Sarah wasn't there.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So like, you know, Aaron would drop him off, and Aaron's been getting home a little bit later, so it was closer to
my
his
wife.
Yeah. So it's been closer to his bedtime. So I was able to be like, all right, you're home. eat your dinner, do this. All right, we're going to snuggle. And then we'd snuggle for like 45 minutes. And I
Sure.
put on fucking basketball, which was perfect.
And right to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, he literally,
This is a boring game.
he was like, basketball? I was like, yep, we're going to watch that. And I think that really helped keeping that schedule and keeping him where he didn't realize Sarah wasn't there, and getting just enough time to talk to her, I think helped. But, you know, he's a toddler. I could do that same exact process 20 times over, and maybe it works 1 out of 2 times, you know.
So the other question I have, and I guess, and you can completely choose not to answer this, is how did you do with everything? Like, did you come to that moment that I personally wondered if you were going to go through this, where like you start to get a little bitter that she gets to be out there and like at night she's having fun with her coworkers and like drinking in a hotel room and whatever it is that she may have been doing, and that you were cleaning up like a poop explosion and like wallowing in exhaustion.
No, because what she went through on that site was way worse than anything I was going through.
But did you know that at the time?
Yeah. Oh, I knew going in. I knew when she couldn't talk to us. So Sarah's really big on FaceTiming with Miles when she's on site because she misses him, right?
Sure.
And when she was not really able to do that very much, I knew that it was a rough show. Like there was a lot going on. She was working overnights for various reasons. It's just, you know, some it's production. Some things are harder shows than others.
Right.
You know, it's funny when she's away, I really don't, because it's what pays our bills, right?
Sure.
And in terms of like the house stuff, like that doesn't change for me too much. I don't really go out much. Like that's just not it's just not, I don't know. Maybe I feel guilty about it. So no, I never felt like bitter. It's actually harder. It was harder when she got back. So like the first 2 days, because I mean, they pulled like a 36-hour day where no one slept. It was crazy. Like they just had a lot of work. That's
not a 36-hour day. That's a 36-hour day and a half.
Yeah. So I mean, but that happened. So I mean, and her friend was staying with us too, and they were both just blitzed, and you could just tell. So I think it's harder when you get that support system back,
and they're still not there.
And they're still not they're there and they want to be there, but they just can't. And you cognitively understand.
Sure.
But it's kind of like before you get sick, right? You know, like you're like, I can't get sick, and you fight through it, and then all of a sudden you stop for a minute, and then your immune system like goes down and you get sick. And so once Sarah got back, I had that moment of being like, oh, thank God, there's someone back. And you kind of let down, but you can't yet because she just wasn't recouped to really be able to help at full capacity. And she wasn't for like 2 days, which again, I get, it just made it hard. And then the next day was Mother's Day, and I wanted to make sure that like on Mother's Day, she didn't really have to do, she could rest. But I think I got to the point by Mother's Day where I was just like, I told her, I gotta take a minute. Cause like, you get that cognizant, like there's someone there, but they can't fully help you the way that you want them to.
Right.
And that's the readjusting, I think, to having your partner back, which I talked about, which that was the strangest adjustment is I got so like tunnel vision to get shit done and work this process that when you get that second person back, and you have to readjust how you do things because now you have another parent again.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother voice and style. And
so even though that she very much needed to recover because of a complete and utter lack of sleep.
Yeah.
You needed to recover because of an absolute lack of rest.
Yeah. And so for me, it really was like that 11 days plus 2 more that I had to pick up. And it was the plus 2 more having someone there that just wanted to, but couldn't. And then, of course, once Sarah got back, then Miles was all about, that's when they sets in that you get this other parent back. And then you're trying to, like, steer him to, like, allow her to still rest, but then he wants that attention. And then, of course, he's a kid. So now he starts playing different games because now you've got 2 parents you can play against.
Right.
So really, it was her coming back that was the most interesting thing. But while she was gone, we lucked out that he had a really good week for the most part.
Okay.
Like, our mornings were a little rougher.
Right.
But I gave up. I didn't say this on the venture. I gave up any semblance of trying to get places on time.
Sure.
I was just like, if we get out the door by 8:00.
Hey, that's good. accept your fate.
Yeah. I told my students, I was like, guys, as long as I make up at 10:45, we're good. And I told them, I was like, and I told my boss too at that school, I was like, I'm on my own. I have to take them to daycare. Like it just, and she was like, okay, that's cool. And that's why I talk about the support system, right? You realize like how much of a support system you have, but if you didn't have that, man, it would be
Oh,
just
yeah.
fucking rough.
Oh yeah, I have a ridiculous support, and that's even without my parents around. Like our families, like I still have a very strong support system when it comes to Erin's work and her employers.
And so do I, for the same.
Not to mention you guys, obviously.
But the same thing. I have a strong support system because of Erin's work and Erin and her employers,
Right.
right? Because of the perks that we get, which are just him being able to be there late, you know?
Sure.
Because that was my downtime when I got home, having that like hour and a half to just do stuff before he got home was huge,
Mhm.
you know? So I was proud that like I did it and I survived it.
That's great, and congratulations on surviving.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been a big accomplishment for you, and Miles for that matter. So with that, we're going to kind of move into our main topic for the day, and that is our talking about screens. With summer having arrived, along with that comes the time of vacations and long trips, and those long trips being long drives. And one of the things that my wife and I personally have been discussing, and by discussing I mean actually taking action on, is getting Thea her own tablet. Something that she could take in the back seat of a long drive, and then we could put on a movie, we could put on some music, we can put on an educational game thingy and pair it to our phones and all of that good stuff. And we realized, like we've had lots and lots and lots of screens in this house already. And having something that she could control, we figured wasn't going to be that much of a leap.
Yeah.
And so after I upgraded my computer recently, I was like, okay, Thea, here, this is going to be your computer. And what I found was having a screen and having a screen that works are two very different things.
Yeah.
So I thought we could talk a little bit about how that kind of functions for us practically, and how we feel about that, you know, philosophically, now that our kids are a little bit older than the last time we spoke about this.
Yeah.
So I guess because I'm actually doing this right now, I'm going to go ahead and take the lead on the first thought, and then I'll let you kind of follow up.
Yeah,
How's
go
that
for
sound?
it. Yeah, go for
Cool.
it.
So, like I kind of said, we've kind of been letting her use screens for a while now. She has we got an ABC Mouse subscription, which is basically like a classroom with games and songs and books and animals and all the things in the world.
Yeah.
And because we're like Erin's a teacher or something, I think we got like a super discount. And so the point is, we've been letting her play that on my computer. And so like I have a little work computer, or I had a little work computer that's like a 13-inch screen. It's a real piece of crap, like an absolute like worthless piece of junk, but it was enough that when I was going to work and back, I could like type an email or something.
It's a portable word processor.
Yeah, it was a portable word processor that occasionally worked.
Yeah.
And so recently, when it came to when I realized I was finding myself not being able to do on it the things I needed to do between the podcast and work, and so I upgraded. And so my thought was like, okay, I'm just going to give Thea this piece of junk to basically destroy.
Yeah.
And what I immediately found out was like she wanted to tap on it and do things, but it didn't want to do things because it was a piece of junk.
She wanted to use it.
Yeah, she wanted to use it like you would use a thing.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was more or less worthless. It turns out that screen just like it doesn't help anything. And so we started like entering into that discussion of like, okay, so we have decided obviously that we are going to be pro screen, that we are going to take the philosophical approach that screens are going to be in our lives and they're not going away. So we are going to learn how to use them properly and effectively. We're going to lean into the complication. Then it came to the matter of like, okay, wait, how deep are we going to go? Like, are we going to go all in and get like an iPad Pro for $700 and buy all of the gadgets and gadgets to make sure that she has a good experience? Or are we going to buy like the Kindle toy thing that like doesn't have anything in the App Store and will subsequently be relatively worthless in about a month?
Yeah.
And so after doing a little bit of research, I found out that I could get her the newest Kindle, like the HD8 or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And basically hack it and turn it into like an actual Android app or tablet. So I could get the Google Play Store on there and get all like the things from there that that you would want.
You jailbroke it.
I did not jailbreak it. I did nothing that would technically render the machine, like the warranty void. I just like disabled the accept programs from other producers or whatever, put the App Store on there, and then it was like, okay, well, now that the App Store is on here, I can kind of do whatever I need to.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful. And so Thea, I after doing all of that, I left it on the couch like an idiot. And so she came home, she saw it, and immediately went, oh, my toy is here. She went, thank you, Daddy, thank you. I'm like, oh, I guess I have to let you use it now.
You're like, and I'm done.
So I turned it on and like opened up the ABC mouse thing, and immediately she's just like swiping away, doing. I was like, holy crap, this kid's never been this like into a screen before. Like, we watch movies constantly, and she'll usually watch like 10-15 minutes of it, and then she's like going to play with Play-Doh. No, last night she saw this thing and she played with it for probably 2 hours straight.
Well, yeah, but that makes sense because it's addictive. I mean, it's addictive for kids just like it is for us.
Sure, but she's never been addicted to them before.
That's because she didn't have the drug yet.
Well, no, but like she's had this on like our computer. She's played with these type of things on Aaron's phone.
I think it's different when it's hers and the tangible, like.
I guess.
I mean, that makes sense to me. It's more. Think about it. The motor skills are simpler than coloring.
Yeah.
Doing the things that. Like
no, she colored on it. That's one of the things she did.
It's not like taking a crayon and like. No,
that's true.
That's a different.
Just taps on
that's
it.
a different motor skill. I read a whole article about that. How like kids are becoming really proficient in screens, but can't fucking color or write because you start to lose. You're not practicing that skill.
She's pretty good at coloring
until she stops doing it.
We'll see. That's true.
You know what I mean? But like that's one of the problematic things. Yeah. Like, what's your trade off? Like they can point and click and do all that, which is great, but then you're losing these other like motor skills we would have learned because we didn't have that.
Yeah, so because of this, I was shocked and stunned, but at the same time, I was going like, this is more educational than like 90% of the crap that we do around this house when she's home. So I felt really conflicted about it. It's like on the one hand, like she's like watching videos that are teaching her how to count and like spell and all that, like the stuff she does at school all day, granted. Yeah. But on the other hand, she's not just sitting here watching TV. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Like the reason we got it was for this 16-hour drive we're about to take.
Yeah.
Whether we split between 2 8-hour drives or one,
hours.
It's still a ridiculously painful amount of time in the car. And I realize it's worse for like the toddlers because they're in that car seat that they're like pasted to the stupid back of it, so they literally can't move. Like there's no wiggling, there's no nothing. There's just like, I am stuck here in this race car seat and there's nothing for me to do.
Yep. I mean, we ended up, when we did that with Miles, I mean, hashtag shitty parents, we loosened it a little bit so he could move a little bit because, I mean, like...
I was going to say, like, do not say you took him out. Don't say, like,
no,
oh my
no,
God.
No.
I will cut that shit. We will not get arrested for anything here.
No, we just didn't plaster him
Nobody
back.
called DIFUS on us.
Yeah, we just didn't plaster him back to it, like, where you can, like, super tighten it.
Sure.
Like, so he had some ability to, like, at least shuffle
and
adjust a little bit because... That, I mean, think about how you'd feel if you could not move.
Awful. I feel terrible, and I usually am able to wiggle.
So I mean,
so how about like before we dive into all like this stuff and whatnot? What is your current experience and thoughts on screens?
I mean, the same thing. Like we let him. So I've actually worked really hard to cut back on it. We used to do screens a lot when he was little, at least with watching super simple songs and things of that nature. And as he's gotten older, especially on the 2 days a week that I have him, I wanted to try really hard to limit it. Not because I necessarily think that like it's the worst thing in the world. Because I think screens and screen time and using screens is an inevitability. But I did want to make sure that wasn't the only thing that consumed his like existence. Which I think is
and that's smart.
Yeah, which I think is the downfall of the screens, right? Like you just said it with Thea, like she got this toy and now that's the toy. And the problem with screens is just like video games, it's ever expanding, right? So when she gets tired of one game, you can put a new game on. And it's also like the act of screens and swiping and moving the screen, and you've probably read the same studies, like it's addictive. Like it releases endorphins in your brains.
Sure.
So it is tailor-made to suck you in. And if it's tailor-made to suck an adult in, imagine what it does to a kid.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I really noticed here was that when we were playing her little thing, her ABC mouse on the tablet, like because it came in these 2-minute intervals, it was like, fuck, you're just like sucked in. Like there's a next thing. She knew which button, because we'd worked with her and which buttons moved to. She was just like, done, next. There's a new song. It was, yeah, there's a whole thing there.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, but that's the problem of it, right? And the other thing I noticed when I started cutting back Miles' screen, and not like you can't watch this thing, but just like either not putting one of his shows on, or is that he would go and play with other stuff. He played with dinosaurs and his figures, and that's what I wanted. So in my mind, I was like, all right, so there's my answer. Like it either, if I'm gonna have something on, it's gotta be something he doesn't want to watch. Because I want him to engage with these other things and use his imagination. And I do think, and again, it's not that I'm anti-screen because I play video games and he will too. But I think there's a strong, I noticed in Miles that there was a strong connection of the more I had him on a screen, as much as that might be easier for me, right?
Sure.
The less he was using his imagination or playing with his dinosaurs.
Right.
And I innately, for me as a parent, was like, this is not good.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have avoided games on my phone or his tablet like the fucking plague.
Yeah, kind of the big problem we've had is that like Aaron and I both like will pull out our phone and start playing a game or something when like, because we watch a lot of movies. We watch a lot like long form movies, which bore the crap out of Thea. Like she'll get sucked into it once or twice, and then it's like, oh, I'm really interested in this first 10 minutes. Where's my toys?
Yeah, which is what I want. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. I just want it to be something in the background that I have to listen to while we're playing and doing whatever it is we're doing around the house. And so like we felt really guilty, like, hey, we're always on our phones playing games, and so we should let her play a game, and like, but her game, not one of our games, because I don't know, I played stupid stuff. I've been playing a lot of golf. But anyway, the point is that like I don't know, I felt really guilty about that. But after seeing how much she got sucked in, like the whole point of this thing is just for a really long drive, and like I'm okay with it there because like I just gotta get this kid through 16 hours. If it's 2-minute videos all at a time, like that ABC mouse isn't gonna switch to Momo or whatever the actual terrible thing is.
Yeah.
And so like okay, cool. We're gonna like I'm okay with that. And we've also tried, like, I also downloaded, like, we have a Plex account that we put up. Basically, we've been slowly transferring all of our old movies onto our Plex account.
To a server, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I've downloaded a bunch of her movies onto this thing now. So that when we're driving, it's like, okay, you want to watch Frozen? Boom, it's right there. We don't have to stream it.
That's you've shown me how to do that. PSM, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do that as soon as you bring over your hard drive for me to get some of your movies.
Okay. So this is what I will say from my experience.
Yeah, please.
We did that with Miles the last time we drove home, where we gave him movies on the iPad.
So you've actually done this?
Yes.
How did it work for you?
Good and bad.
Okay.
So it's really, so the first time we did it, we were just full on in. We're like, watch, this is how we got on land before time. Watch whatever you want. Like, okay. Sarah brought her 4G wireless from work, so we had internet in the car. And it was great for a little bit, and then he got burned out, right? And then we had to start switching movies constantly.
Sure.
And then he got really upset, and then he didn't sleep.
Oh.
So that was not good. So here's the thing. It was really great for part of the drive when it worked, because you definitely can get him into a movie and he'll watch it. He got burned out. So what we did, I think we're going to do again, is we pushed not using the tablet for as long as possible, until he was absolutely just couldn't do it anymore, and he had to have something to do. We brought books and toys.
Yeah.
And what we found on the way back from Georgia, which was the best trip we've had with him since he was a baby, where we left during the day, is he ended up playing with his dinosaurs and animals. We brought like his big tub of animals. He ended up playing with that way more than he wanted to watch a movie.
Okay.
And so our new go-to is, until he really wants it, we just don't put it on, because once you put it on, you're done.
Once you put it on, you're officially on a timer of how much time you have.
Right. And like anything, like any kid, their attention span is only so long before they get restless.
Sure.
but I felt like the toys were ever changing, right? Again, it had to stimulate him to do something different. So my tablet feeling on this is they're great for long rides for that reason, because you can put on a movie, you can give her something to do. You haven't done it yet, so who knows how long it will take.
Yeah, the last time we took a long drive, she was too young to know.
Yeah.
And we did it all like overnight, and so like I drove through the night when she was sleeping, and it worked well.
Yeah, and we've never done games on his iPad. We've only done movies.
Yeah.
We have a few games when we go out to eat on my phone. So you'll have to let me. I mean, the game thing will say like maybe I'll steal that from you so we can use it.
Right.
The other thing that we did, because when we did this the first time we got back, that's all he wanted was the iPad to watch movies on the iPad. So we take it away. Like when we're back home, the iPad goes away.
Yeah.
So he doesn't see it because he will get so locked into having that. And then like anything, if it doesn't play the right movie or, something goes wrong because he's more temperamental, he'll, have a fit. You have to constantly do stuff with it. So my rule of thumb when I'm getting out of screens is great for the ride, use it. I would hold off using it until you have to. Don't jump in with it right away. Like
sure.
Save that shit back, color, do all the other stuff until you get to that point. Just in case she gets burned out on it, because once she's burned down on it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would do is I would not give it to her all the time.
Sure.
Because then it's not special. Then it's not, and I do think there is merit in having her do other things that aren't screen related, especially if she's a kid that can get sucked into the games on the screen.
Yeah.
That would be my go-to, but also Sarah's on her phone a lot. I'm on my phone less than she is because I've made that like conscious effort, but I don't play games on my phone. So he's never really seen us play games.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't watch me play video games.
Just out of curiosity, are you going to be an anti-video game parent?
No, not once he wants to play.
Like when you say once he wants to play, what does that mean to you? Like if he sees you playing a game, it's like, can I have a controller? You're gonna be like, here you go, kid.
Yeah, probably.
Here's Mortal Kombat. Take the head off.
Yeah, probably.
That's awesome.
I mean, I've been really good about not playing video games when he's awake.
I was until Aaron was doing it constantly. I finally went, screw it. I'm going to play some stuff on my phone now then.
Yeah. But Sarah doesn't play. She's on social media a lot, but she doesn't play games. And Miles makes her pay for being on social media anyway.
What?
If he sees you on your phone, he like zones in on just wanting your attention.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Every time like Sarah picks up his phone, he like is just.
Thea does the same thing.
Yeah. Now he doesn't even want the phone. He just like wants.
Like pay attention to me. I'm important.
And so I've just gotten to the point where.
Just out of curiosity, has he gotten to the point where he'll just be like, pay attention to me?
No.
Oh, that's the best is when Erin's on her phone. Because I try not to do on my phone when she's around. I don't always succeed, but I try. But whenever like Erin is just constantly in her on her phone when she's not like actively doing something with Thea, and Thea will just look over and be like, "Mommy, pay attention, focus." That's my favorite. It's so mean. It's so rude.
That's what Miss Jen says to them. Focus.
That's why then. Yeah. She does it so much now, and it's hilarious and a little rude.
No, Miles doesn't do that, but he'll climb on Sarah. Like he'll just be like, all right, he'll like, mommy, snuggle. And he'll just like climb on her, but he's really rough and it like gets on Sarah's nerves a little bit, which I get because he's elbows and arms and everything.
Right.
And the way that I've avoided that, because you can also see him coming, as not that I'm not on my phone, I am, but I also just put it down because I understand for Sarah and I both who have ADD, like it's not even reading social media. It's just the act of like fucking with the phone. Like that's the addictive thing.
Yeah.
I'm on and I can tell you, I don't know if you're this way. I'm sure Erin can talk about it just because she studied it. Like just the act of like opening and closing an app is like weirdly cathartic and addictive. So I think for like me, if I've worked a long day, or even Sarah after she's been at work all day, like just having that moment to release on her phone is cathartic.
That might be like a very ADD type of thing.
It is. They've said that kids with ADD, phones can be really, really bad.
Oh, sure.
And that's why like
I was thinking about the adults with ADHD.
Oh,
though.
it is. I mean, that's why like you know me long time. Like my phone half time, I'm not actually like I'm just opening an app to get the gratification of like.
I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no clue. I thought you were actually doing something on your phone.
No, sometimes most of the time it's just because I need. It's like the fidget spinner, right? I just need something. I need something tangible to do, which is why like long rides are hard for Sarah if she's not driving, and she doesn't like to drive as much as I do because I at least have to like focus on something all the time. Phones are, that's why like I worry about Miles with too much of a tablet, because if he is ADD, it's going to be, I mean, it's like giving him crack. It's like, here's some crack cocaine more than anything else.
Sure.
Have at it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt about video games. But like the more I think about it, I don't know. I also don't want my kid to be the weird kid who can't like, who's like, oh, I have to go over to so and so's house because they have the video game.
I don't want to be that either.
Especially because I'm a video, and like the other thing is like I'm a video addict, so I don't want her to be like glued to the television and crap like I am. I was like, oh, I'm going to play these 13 video games this summer, and that's going to be my summer.
Yeah, and so I think that's the real challenge for us. Like even with games, I think about my nephew a lot, who's like he's really gotten into video games, and he's really good at Fortnite. He's good at them.
Sure.
And on one side, like there's merit in that. Like he likes games. It can be a career as he gets older. There's sports. I mean, it's esports. There's a lot that goes into that. Yeah. But at the same time, there's the other side of it where like it is all consuming to him too.
And I think part of it is just learning to foster, like not just like here's playing it, but like here's creating it. Like remember when you used to do Minecraft? Here's how you can make Minecraft, but like anything. Here's like if you just type this, look, a block appears. If you do this, then look, you can move that block. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and I think and that's the thing, video games aren't going anywhere, right? They're going to change. They're going to be different for our kids, but they aren't going anywhere. And I don't want my kid to be like you said, the kid who like doesn't, but I also want to make sure my kid's the kid who like will pretend and doesn't need the video game to like be the full-on entertainment. And that's going to be the challenge, right?
Yeah, and that's the challenge. Because like when I think about the screens, the tablets, and everything, I don't even think about the games most of the time. I just think about like, here, this is just another way for you to watch that movie that we watch all the time. But this way, like you can watch your thing, and Mom and I can watch, I don't know, baseball or whatever other thing is on the TV that we just don't want to watch Frozen for the 830th time.
But you know, the thing that I think is the challenge with that, and this is even like with Miles, because that's what he was doing, you're disconnecting then from your kid, even if you're all because you're not all watching the same thing. Now we don't do do what you guys do. Like there's not multiple screens with different programming going in our house.
Yeah, we're really bad with that.
I know, but it's why like I never play video games in Sarah. So we're always watching something together, even if it's something, even if I'm on my phone or whatever. Or we're all watching Miles' movie. We all have that on, and
But to be fair, like, you all may have the same screen on, but like I know at least one of you will have your phone out and you'll be on your phone. But so is it still the same thing?
I don't know, because at least for me, like I still will watch what he has on. Like I'll check my phone, and so will Sarah. But I still think there's something about like there's this central thing that we are all taking part in, whether he fully realizes how much we are or aren't. I could be wrong. This is just my theory on it. Like,
oh no, look, nothing we say is science unless we say otherwise.
So, but I just feel like once you give them their own thing, which they're eventually going to do anyway, like you'll get to that point, like. It's like one more thing that's lost to adulthood, right?
Yeah.
Like there is this thing where like he wants us to watch the movie with him. He wants to do that. He wants us all to watch it. Okay. Right. Like, that's going to end eventually where he's going to want to watch it on his phone or tablet or whatever. And as much, like you said, as much as I would love to watch this other thing, I'm trying to like lean into these moments because they're going fast. Like these little kid moments that while can be tedious, are also, we're never going to have them again. I thought back to something my mom said to me because I was talking to her about this a little bit. And she said, my brother John used to have like these race car tracks out in the yard. Like he ripped up their yard. Like, destroyed it, tracks everywhere. And they used to bitch. They were like, oh, our fucking yard. And my mom was like, what I would not give to have every one of those race car tracks back. And I kind of think about it with Miles. Like, yeah, it's annoying to watch Land Before Time. But, 10. But he's not always going to want to watch movies with us anymore. So I'm trying to like, and also he's not going to want to watch those movies which are simple and benign, and he gets so much joy out of. So I think there's merit in like watching it all together, even if we're not as invested in it as he is.
I agree. It is nice to be able to have conversations about what's happening, and like because so much of how she's learning right now is learning through comparison. This happened in this movie, and so I see something similar in the world. It must be. Which is super problematic for the movies that we watch too, by the way, but that's a whole other conversation. Like when we're out in the world, she'll be like, oh, look, it's the thing like this thing. And it's like, oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. accept.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be able to redirect in that way if you're not paying attention to the movie, if you're not aware of what she's talking about and what her worldview is.
Or even I noticed with Miles, like his playing pretend, like with his dinosaurs, he'll be like, "Oh, sharp tooth," so he's clearly like pretending that it's Land Before Time, right?
Sure.
That's fucking cool. Like
It is cool.
that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't notice that as much unless I'm also engaged. Like, oh, it's because. Oh, that is cool. Like that's his game now, and it's his playing. He's playing pretend. Like that is starting. Yeah. So I mean, again, I'm not anti-screen. I would just tell you for your road trip, like use it more as a last resort and not the first go-to. That's my like have done this trip already. Parental advice to you, but your kid's also way different. So
there is that. But I'm gonna take that advice. I'm gonna see if we can't leave early enough that we can start with a nap.
Yeah, and then start with coloring, man. Coloring's a good one.
My kid loves to color. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah,
she will color. And then break out
the tablet when you're out of everything else.
And it's nap time too.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for that conversation. I think that we did our terrific job of doing our usual, coming to absolutely no real focus.
Yeah. When have we ever had to focus?
I don't know. I think there was a time once in 72.
Usually there's like an article that we can reference back to.
I'm going to need to find an article for that. Screens are bad. Got it.
Yeah, right. Every article.
And every article that's been written.
But didn't that one book that you read and I listened to?
Haven't finished it yet, but yes.
But they talk about that it's not as bad as you think it is.
The science isn't as clear as we think.
Yeah. So there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that article? Never mind. We'll get there.
Okay.
So that brings us to our usual segment for emails, and we don't have any emails. So
okay, great.
I guess I get to come up with a dumb question.
Go.
Dumb question.
Would you rather, as it were?
Would you rather? A conundrum, a philosophical quandary. Would you rather have to like watch? I got nothing. I actually got nothing. I was going to come up with something, but I got nothing.
Would you rather have your child completely addicted to a screen to the point that they would have no other activity?
What's on the screen? Can it be video games?
It's whatever. That's all they want to do.
Do I get to engage in the video game with them? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your.
No,
I guess I should know what option number 2 is.
Would you rather?
But I'm clearly going with number 1 if it's video games.
Would you rather have your kid totally engrossed in video games forever and do nothing else?
Just video games.
do nothing else on their tablet, but you can still play video games, or have your kid be more diversified in their activities, but you can never play a video game again?
I mean, I'm clearly going with video games. That's as soon as you said that I got to play video games with them, like, sold. I'm done.
She never wants to go to the playground.
Fine.
She never wants to color. She never wants to swim.
We're good.
She never wants to like
Who cares?
watch a movie that you like. She doesn't want to do daddy-daughter dance parties. She doesn't.
She doesn't want to do that now anymore.
She doesn't want.
But we get to play a video game. Like, okay, but I can totally play like Captain Marvel, the video game with her. Okay, yeah, that'll say the problem.
But she never wants to have like a real conversation with you.
I mean, she doesn't want to have a conversation with me now.
But this will change as she gets older.
Well, no, yeah, she'll want to have conversations with me less as she gets older.
And then she never wants to socialize with any other people.
Thea, what's your who's that boy you like? Dad.
Not all kids are like
who's
that.
Who's that crush you're crushing on? How was your day? Oh my God, you're just harassing me.
Yeah, because you are.
Do you want dinner? I don't want food ever.
So you're going video games?
Can I say yes, but really have it be no?
Nope.
Okay, I'd probably want to have that conversation at some point.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So, I guess that brings us to the segment of the show where we like recommend a thing. I'm like, hey, you should do this thing or see this thing or experience. Let's usually see this thing. Let's be honest. We usually just recommend shows and movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to do the recommendations. So, Nick, do you have any recommendations right now for anybody?
It's like the most bougie recommendation ever. But it's
bougie.
I recommend getting a new car because it's really fucking nice. We've been driving an old ass car for so long, and it just started to kind of break down. Like the door didn't open. It was a good car. It served us really well, but like, so we kind of had to go out and get a new one. And it's so nice because there's so much stupid shit on it that like is just fun. It's like adult toy. It's like
oh yeah.
It's like the most adult toy you can get. Where you're like, because I don't know who you are. Like when I was an adult, and like I get new things, I'm always like the excitement of a kid, like. you're just like, oh, cool, I got it. And you're like, okay.
Mhm.
But like the new car, because it's such like, it's so expensive and it's such a year commitment. But then you get it. And
Such a
you're
year commitment. It is
Years.
like a decade commitment.
And you're like, this is what I'm driving for the next 12 years. But for like that first, like you're in it and you're like, oh, it's beeping. What's this beeping, man? Oh, I can read my text messages to me. Oh, wait, I can set the cruise control and it will keep me away from the car in front of me. And then I can set the lane thing on. It will keep me in my lane. It's basically driving itself. We were coming back from the aquarium and I was like, man, I want some goldfish. Lane safety, cruise control. I have like one hand, like munching on some goldfish. It drifts a little bit in the car, just drifts me back.
oh
in the
man,
middle.
that's terrifying.
It's so good. It's actually really hard though to relinquish, like when it does put you back in center lane. 'Cause you're like,
fuck, what's it doing? What's it doing?
or
No,
like
turn,
the
turn,
cruise
goddammit.
control, like when it's stopping you, and you're like, but let me tell you, there's all this new shit out. You're like, this is fucking great. For a road trip, it will be nice though. Like,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, like when you can set the cruise, and it's keeping you 6 car lengths away.
Oh wow.
So it's always, you can do however you want.
Sure.
Like it multiplies them by how fast you're going. So you're never.
So it's doing the thing that you're actually supposed to do. So what
Yeah.
happens if like the car in front or behind you are tailgating or something? Does it speed up if it's
The behind you doesn't. The front one will slow you down. It just brakes you.
Okay.
The only time it gets like crazy, kind of weird, where you get like, I got self-conscious when using it, is when they slow down quickly. So the car will brake, right? But the car wants to brake to get that distance and speed back up. But at least you can then take control and finish the braking.
so it slows down, it doesn't like slam on the brakes.
No, it will. If that car
Okay.
stops going, it's always going to keep that distance between you.
Oh, that's
But by
terrifying.
that point, you're aware of what's happening, so you can manually stop the car.
Okay.
It's kind of like the lane things that keeps you in your lane. When you want to change lanes, the car's pretty intuitive that when it feels you pulling it over, it turns that off. But every so often, it wants to like keep you.
Oh,
in.
that's
So
scary.
So I just turn it off. Like if I'm
Sure.
changing lanes, but when you hit the turn signal, it turns that off. So then you can change lanes.
Oh, that makes sense.
But it's getting used. It's like
and then
having-
you have to signal.
Yep.
I like it.
It's let me tell you, but just the cruise control part of it is so nice because even on like the Jersey traffic, I was like, oh, I can still set my cruise.
yeah.
And it will slow me down and speed me up, and then
So what happens if somebody slides in front of you? Does it like
it
slam
slo-
on the
yep,
brakes or?
it stops it immediately because there's a camera that picks up the car. It picks up the
Uh-huh.
car and slows you down.
See, that seems dangerous though, because if somebody's sliding in front of you and then you slam on the brakes, the car behind you is gonna.
Well, it only slams on the brake if you would have to slam on the brakes manually. So if it can slow itself down, it'll gradually slow itself down.
Okay.
But if that person cut right in front of you where you'd have to slam on the brakes, that's what it's gonna do.
Okay.
It's cool, but it's hard to get used to if you've never had it.
yeah.
But once you kind of like, all right, it's good. Oh man, for like a long drive,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, that sounds great. I wish I would. Maybe we should buy a new car. No, we can't afford a new car. But I want.
Listen, we couldn't really afford a new car either, but
Fair.
we kind of were at that point where we were dumping like $1,000,
Yeah.
$2,000 every like.
I'm worried we're getting there.
Yeah, my car was.
We're not there yet,
Yeah,
but
that car
I'm
was
worried
like
we're getting there.
15 years old though. So
Yeah. Well, we're just about 10, almost something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
anyway, that's my recommendation. If you can do it, new cars are awesome.
Well, my recommendation is significantly cheaper.
That's good.
My recommendation is the DC Universe streaming show Doom Patrol.
It's so good, isn't it?
It is so stupid.
It's
It is
so
so
good.
fun, and I just want to say it's so nice to have Brendan Fraser back. After like hearing his whole story and
Yeah.
everything, it's just like, oh, I'm so heartbroken. And then I saw him on TV again. I was like, I forgot how much I loved you.
It's so good. It's really good at knowing what it is.
Yeah, and also it not knowing what it is
Yeah.
sometimes. Like I don't. Have you finished it?
No, I've got like 3 episodes left.
Okay. It's a thing. It's
Yeah.
a thing. But yeah, I the cast is phenomenal. The storytelling is weird and goofy. It is super R-rated. Like it
Yeah.
is very, very
all the
R-rated.
DC streaming shows are. They're
Oh,
like,
are they?
They're the Netflix to the CW.
So they're like the HBO to the whatever.
So you know how like with Marvel you had Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC,
Uh-huh.
and that's like the PG.
Sure.
But then Netflix had the rated R.
Okay.
That's what DC Universe is. DC Universe is like the R-rated version of the CW shows.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So like Justice, like Teen Titans is that way too, which also is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
You got to give it like 3 episodes and lean into what they're doing, and then it gets really good.
Okay.
And the first episode of Swamp Thing was also really good.
I just really enjoy that on Doom Patrol. Like, they allow it to be weird.
Yeah.
Like, because so many of these shows are like, well, we have to play it straight. We have to be, you know, have the very stereotypical setup. But instead, it's just like, I don't know, storytelling, throwing it out the window. Omniscient narrator, who's actually a character in the show. Fuck it. Yeah, let's
so
do
good.
it. All powerful being. Yeah, why not? Let's just throw Dr. Manhattan in this. Do we own Dr. Manhattan? We do. Okay, yeah. But, let's not call him Dr. Manhattan. We'll just call him something else. Awesome. So
By the
good.
way, they were introduced on the Teen Titans show.
Were they really?
They were. They're in the same universe.
Huh.
Because they're all...
Well, that doesn't surprise me because
It's all-
Cyborg's there.
and it's
but-
all the multiverse in DC now.
Yeah.
I have to say, it always amazes me how on point DC's television programming
They're
is.
great with everything but fucking movies.
They are. I mean, it's funny because like the CW has its issues because it's very soapy and like
Oh,
teeny,
sure.
but it's still really good, and they get their characters spot on. Like
Yeah.
Supergirl, spot on. Superman in Supergirl is spot fucking on. Flash is spot on. Arrow is Batman, but you know you gotta like
Yeah, take what you can get.
yeah, it's crazy. It's just always amazing to me like that their TV shows just they know.
Mm-hmm.
Their take on Robin is different than I would have liked for Dick Grayson, but it makes a lot of sense. It's basically what if Batman raised a kid? He'd be fucked.
Sure.
As opposed to like Dick Grayson being the opposite of that. No,
Right.
they lean into like Bruce Wayne would fuck a kid up.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah, and
That's-
so it works. You just have to like let go of the Dick Grayson is the redemption of Bruce Wayne.
I like to think that DC does a really nice job of getting their characters right for the medium.
Yes, I would agree with
They're
you.
not the comic book characters. They are never a 1-to-1 ratio, but the character that they're developing for that TV show is always really, really good.
Yeah. I think Supergirl and Flash have done it best. Those two shows I think are really good.
I've fallen off the CW shows. Not like I dislike them anymore. It's just we've like because of like having Thea and everything, we just haven't been able to keep up with them. And there's so many of them now. We're like 2 or 3 seasons behind. I don't know if we'll ever catch up.
I am too. Can I tell you what's interesting about that kind of TV viewing?
I suppose.
I don't like the 24 episode format anymore. I like the shorter 12 episode format to TV because it feels more manageable to me.
Yeah, I think the I'm gonna call it the Netflixification of it has brought that about because everything is so on demand and you want to kind of marathon and binge it all. And because there's so much coming out at all moments, it's like, okay, I would like 6 to 10 episodes. I would like it to be a nice compact story. And I would like there to be a decent amount of development, and then I'm satisfied.
Yep.
Then do it again in 7 months or whatever. Like,
Unless it's a half an hour programming, then I can do a more like Kimmy Schmidt's half an hour. I can handle that, right?
no, I'm okay. I still want to.
Schitt's Creek's a great half an hour worth of programming.
My favorite series was Friends with Kids. No, Friends. Yeah, no, not Friends with Kids. Friends from College. Friends from
They
College.
canceled.
Yeah, I saw that. It was sad. I'm not surprised. I think I was one of the only people in the world who liked it or watched it, perhaps. But it was a phenomenal show.
really
And it's
good
like
show.
6 1-hour episodes. It's perfect. Perfect length.
Yeah, and that's my thing with the CW shows. Having 24, as much as I love those characters, it's for the way that it's structured, it's just too much. Like,
Yeah, you end up getting a few trash episodes,
Yeah.
which are fun, like Monster of the Week type of things, but still they're
or
trash.
give me 18, but like 4 of those be the big crossover episodes, which they do really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how that's changed. I always would have thought I'd be like, no, I want more of it. And
Sure.
I'm like, no, give me like 6 to 12 really good episodes.
Yeah, I've kind of fallen off of the CW shows the same way I fell off of comic books. Like I just couldn't
just too
keep
much.
up with all, like, because I always felt like if you don't watch all of them, you can't watch any of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, I can't keep up with all of them. That's what 4 or 5 different shows now that are all like 24 a year. Sorry, don't got the time.
I gave up because Arrow, I tried so hard to get into Arrow and I
loved Arrow.
I know, I just couldn't. Because I was like, it's just Batman. I'd rather
My
have
daughter's
Batman.
named after Arrow.
Oh, that's right, because the sister.
Uh-huh. Dave
Though
McQueen.
I'm
Dave
excited about Batwoman.
That'll be cool. I mean, I'm interested in so much of this. Yes. Are they doing Cassandra Cain or Barbara Gordon?
Cassandra Cain.
Oh, that's so good. She
so
was
it's
so.
the first LGBTQ like main character.
Oh,
in the
that's
universe.
awesome.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
played by LGBTQ actress.
I knew that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the woman who played.
She's Australian. She's like
She's Australian.
I
I,
believe so,
thought she
yes.
was the. She played Mulan or whatever in Once Upon a Time. Is that not who it's going to be?
That's not who it is. She's in Orange
I'm
is
all
the New
screwed
Black.
up. All right, cool.
Yeah. Aubrey Rose, I think her name is.
I don't remember.
Amber Rose. Anyway, yeah, it looks really good, and they're leaning into the fact that it's like an LGBTQA plus character, which I think is great.
I like that. That's really cool.
And it's Batman. It's finally fucking Batman on a TV screen, or like a Bat character.
Like this is like the third or fourth one now.
I know, but
they had Gotham.
Yeah, but that's not the same. Though Batman is.
It's literally Batman.
No, it's Bruce Wayne becoming. It's Smallville, but not as good.
Well, that could be. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I wasn't
Batman
interested.
is going to be in Teen Titans though.
Well, that'll be interesting.
The guy who plays God, what's Daenerys' older knight, the bear? Jorah.
I don't know.
The actor plays Jorah.
Sure. Oh, Jorah. Yeah.
He's gonna be. He's playing Bruce Wayne.
The bear.
The bear.
Are you just saying that he was like a very large gay man?
No, that's what his sigil is.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
For the bear.
Can I be honest with you? As much as I watched that show and enjoyed it, I don't actually remember very much of it.
I read the books. That's why.
Well, there we go.
But yeah, he's playing Bruce Wayne in Titans.
Oh, cool.
So they're doing like an older Bruce Wayne.
I'm officially putting a hold on any conversation over the new Batman casting. We're not talking about that right now. It's just not going to happen.
We're going to talk about it eventually.
We will. Maybe we'll do that next time. You can find me at Chris Moss again on Twitter.
You can find me at Nick Westermeyer on Twitter and at N Westermeyer on Twitter and at N Westermeyer on Instagram.
You can find us at 2_dumb_dads on Twitter and at the 2 Dumb Dads website. And
at 2 Dumb Dads Instagram.
Oh, and we have a Facebook. Just look for 2 Dumb Dads.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Oh, and you can email us at emails at the number 2dumbdads.com.
2 Dumb Dads everywhere.
Yeah, really. We're pretty on brand.
It's true.
Until next time, be well.